Therefore, when this protection is removed, it will allow humans to see with natural eyes all these evil forces, malefic beings, and the powers of the air invading planet Earth massively. The whole world will be invaded by an infinity of evil beings, coming mainly from the first and second heaven, as well as from the depths of the earth, from the eternal darkness of the underworld. At present it is difficult to detect those who are camouflaged in our society, because they have the ability to change form. Adopting human form, they can be eating next to us and we would not notice them. As described in Hebrews chapter 13 verse 2, do not forget to show hospitality, for by it some have entertained angels without knowing it. People interact with them without knowing who they really are. It is nothing new that Satan and the powers of darkness copy everything that God does, and therefore the vast majority of human beings do not realize when they interact with evil entities, as they adopt human form. These camouflaged evil beings will go from door to door, from place to place, deceiving humans in order to trap them. No one will know who to trust, therefore no one will trust anyone, not even their own relatives. In fact, it will be the same relatives who will hand over their peers who believe in God to the authorities of the government of the Antichrist, just to avoid problems with the global authority due to the laws and threats against all those who do not denounce Christians. As for the invasion that will come from the depths of the earth, it will have different infernal entities and fallen angels that were chained in the eternal darkness of the deep of the earth, and will be released to the surface of the earth as announced in Revelation chapter 9 verses 1 to 11. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and there was given unto him the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke came up out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by the smoke of the pit. And out of the smoke came forth locusts upon the earth, and power was given unto them, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And they were commanded that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, nor any tree, but only men that had not the seal of God upon their foreheads. And it was given them not to kill them, but to torment them 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. The appearance of the locusts was like horses prepared for war. On their heads they had as it were crowns of gold. Their faces were as faces of men. They had hair as the hair of women. Their teeth were as the teeth of lions. They had breastplates like breastplates of iron. The noise of their wings was as the noise of many chariots of horses running to battle. They had tails as of scorpions, and also stings, and in their tails they had the power to hurt men for 5 months. And they have as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek, Apollyon. Some of the fallen angels who were chained in the depths of the earth will also be loosed, as announced in Revelation chapter 9 verses 13 to 19. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from between the 4 horns of the golden altar which was before God, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, Loose the 4 angels which are bound by the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for the hour, and for the day, and for the month, and for the year, to slay the third part of men. And the number of the armies of the horsemen was 200 million. I heard their number. Thus I saw in vision the horses and their riders, which had breastplates of fire, sapphire, and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were like the heads of lions, and out of their mouths came fire and smoke and brimstone. By these 3 plagues, the third part of men was killed, by the fire and the smoke and the brimstone that came out of their mouths. For the power of the horses was in their mouth, and in their tails were their tails, which were like serpents, had heads, and with them they hurt. At this point we must highlight why a number of angels were separated from their fellows, and chained in the depths of the earth within the eternal darkness, while the vast majority of their comrades lies in the first and second heaven. The answer is found in the book of Genesis chapter 6 verses 1 to 2 and 6 to 4. Now it came to pass, When men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. So now we do know the mystery of the origin and the presence of giants on earth in those times, because of a large group of angels that allowed themselves to be tempted by the attractiveness of human women, taking them as wives, and from the illicit union of the angelic race and the human race were born the hybrid races of the Nephilim and Rephaim, among others. Within these groups, the hybrid Nephilim were the largest giants. They were the ones who built the giant buildings of antiquity, moving gigantic stones of several tons from one place to another. These evil hybrid giants wiped out a large part of humanity and animals in those times. And not only that, but they ended up contaminating the human gene, which is why God ordered to capture and imprison the group of angels who had illicit relations with human women, casting them into the depths of the earth, chaining them into eternal darkness, as described on 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 4. For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down the hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved for judgment. And in Jude chapter 1 verse 6, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. As for their evil descendants, the giant hybrid Nephilim, God ordered the destruction of their bodies, and called them unclean spirits, whose meaning is found in the word demons. And these are the demons that have been waging war against humanity, and therefore no longer possess physical bodies, and desperately seek to inhabit bodies, as described in Matthew chapter 12 verses 43 to 45. When the unclean spirit goes out of a man, he wanders through dry places, seeking rest, and finds none. Then he says, I will return to my house from whence I came out, and when he comes, he finds it unoccupied, swept and garnished. Then he goes and takes with him 7 other spirits worse than himself, and they come in and dwell there, and the last state of that man becomes worse than the first. The contamination of the human gene was one of the main reasons why God decided to destroy all life on the planet with the universal flood, and only the life of Noah and his family were preserved, because they were the only ones who did not mix, nor get contaminated with the hybrid flesh of the Nephilim and their descendants. But despite the universal flood, some racist descendants of the Nephilim like the Rephaim and others survived. This we know from numerous biblical passages that mention them after the flood, like for example when Moses sent spies to the promised land. As described in Numbers chapter 13 verse 33, we saw there are also giants, the sons of Anak, the race of the giants, and we were, in our sight, like locusts, and so we were to them like locusts. This is why God ordered Joshua and David to destroy all the remaining descendants of the hybrid race of the Nephilim. We mention all this because those evil giant Nephilim will return to the earth during the reign of the Antichrist, and according to hundreds of visions and dreams. Apparently God petrified many of them and turned them into gigantic stones. And this is precisely why we see large tracts of land and landscapes shaped in form of giants, as well as giant rocks shaped as giant faces. These evil hybrid giants Nephilim will return to life during the Great Tribulation. Moving on to another point, the fallen angels that inhabit the second heaven will be cast down to earth during the Great Tribulation. Let us remember that Satan has his throne in the second heaven, and not in the depths of the earth as many believe. As prophesied in the book of Revelation chapter 12 verses 7 to 9 and 12 to 12, then there was a great battle in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they prevailed not, neither was there found any more room for them in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Woe to those who dwell on the earth and in the sea, for the devil has come down to you in great wrath, knowing that he has but a short time